Welcome back to Out of the Rough. I'm Fred Arnold. I'm joined by a guest that's been on before, Denise O'Brien, CEO of Dome Consulting, and you've done so many things in your life. Publicist, author, copywriter, right?
Yes,
MC,
copywriter. That's how it all got started.
Yeah, MC and funding consultant. And you're part of a book that was written, Adventures in Manifesting, Passion and Purpose. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you for inviting me back, Fred. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you, thank you. And we're going to talk about Wings of Love.
Yes, let's do it.
An organization you helped found. The why?
Why? Well, for many years, I had the beautiful opportunity in going through my own personal challenges to mentor a lot of families, and especially women that I worked with when I was working in the beauty industry, who always would come to me like when you go to your hairdresser and you talk about, your problems. I would hear a lot. And so I had the opportunity to really support a lot of women through getting restraining orders, where to go to find the right counselors, where to go for help, support in all different areas of domestic violence. And I did it for many years, just from my own personal experience and sharing. And then one day I was at church having an argument with God on the steps of my church and literally going through probably the worst time in my life, my own personal life. And I heard him say, "Today you will start Wings of Love." And I had been thinking about starting a nonprofit, and I'd given it a name and all of that. And I literally was in a church with all these women and heard his voice. And that's how it got started. That day, with that minute, I turned around and walked outside the church and I said, "I'm starting a nonprofit organization to help families of domestic abuse." And literally all the women that were there clapped, and then the song On Eagle's Wings sang. I'm not kidding you. It was just a beautiful affirmation from God.
That's great. That's great. That you did that, and it's so important to help those that just need a hand
Right.
up, not a handout.
Exactly. And I really founded it for kind of the the middle class family of the community where I lived, because you can always get support, especially when you're really, really down and out. You can find a shelter, you can find a place. If you have a ton of money, you can just rent a place at the Ritz penthouse and deal with it that way. But there's that whole middle group of families that don't really have an opportunity to really be supported, and that's why we started Wings of Love.
That's great. And isn't it domestic violence?
Yes, domestic violence, but domestic violence, I always say, has no zip code. So, it happens everywhere. Domestic violence is, you think of a man and a wife, or a husband and a wife, or a boyfriend, girlfriend, and that kind of abuse. Domestic abuse can be child abuse. It can be all the emotional abuse. The physical abuse is most obvious when someone physically has a black eye and a cut up lip. But emotional abuse, and there's geographic abuse. There's abuse about your faith. I mean, there's so many different types of abuse. So we use the word abuse in the general term, so that being that we're international and working with a lot of different types of situations, that it's not just, because when I first started it, people would say, "Oh, you're just for battered wives," and that's not what Wings of Love is.
And it's about giving people hope. It's about about sharing the book and how that has helped.
Well, the book has been great because I was actually reached out. The Auschka Publishing is the author. The publisher is actually in Australia, and they reached out to me because I gave a speech on 11/11/11. I'll never forget the date in Atlanta regarding passion and finding your passion. And so I gave my story about how I found this passion to help domestic violence and domestic abuse victims, and so that is how I ended up getting more press and more people talking about it, was having the book. It's kind of like the book just opens a lot of doors for people like yourself and others that want to hear more about it. And by sharing the actual intimate details of Wings of Love and my own personal situation in the book, it allows people to really know that I'm really there. It's not just who they see on the outside, but I really have gone through some things.
And you're so obviously passionate about it. Let's talk about Wings of Love, what you do here in the United States.
Well, what we're doing, because we are still raising, we're going to be 4 years old or 4 years young, I still say, versus all the big nonprofits out there that you might have already heard of that are similar. But what we're doing here is just being kind of a bridge organization, so when somebody needs help, that we can provide the services, as I mentioned earlier, but most importantly that we are bringing awareness. That's what I'm so passionate about, is actually talking about it, because a lot of people don't talk about it. It's a taboo topic. So if someone like myself, that former Miss California, former Miss Santa Monica, TV broadcaster, whatever I am or was, that I can stand up there, as I shared with you, the Hollywood Red Ribbon Models, which is to help bring awareness to HIV. When somebody that has a positive background can bring light to a subject, I think it's our duty to be able to do
Yeah.
that and to share that. And
Yeah.
so the book is just another little thing that can go all over the world that people can read and go, yeah, this is amazing what's happening, and we want to be a part of it.
And you want to spread this internationally.
Yes, I do. I'm leaving actually for Africa this week, and I'm working with one of my.
Wow, Africa.
I'm going to Africa. The other day I was in my house and I just jumped up and down, and I was getting my visas from the embassy, and I jumped up. I'm going to Africa. I couldn't believe it. I mean, especially right now with Nelson Mandela having just passed, and it's really an opportunity of a lifetime for me and my a media team that are going to be going over to cover some events. And I also have an orphanage there in Kenya. I'm the international Madam President, and I'm really looking forward to supporting that particular group. I haven't actually physically been there myself to meet them, and just working with them.
Well, that'd be
internationally.
fulfilling,
So,
wouldn't it?
very fulfilling, and I had the opportunity to be a part of that because of Wings of Love. You know, they reached out to me and said, we really need your help.
Yeah. Well, those that want to reach out to you, get more involved, help you fundraise, help get involved.
Fundraising is such a big part of it. That's my vision, is just to have our own. You know, right now we're supporting other shelters and feeding people to there, but I really would like to have our own. We're going to call them nests to go along with Wings of Love.
Nice. How can they reach out to you?
Wings of Love, wingsofloveintl.org is the
Wings
website.
of Love INTL, which will be at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, wingsofloveintl.org, and the best way is to just give us a call too as well, 310-754-9321.
9321. Well, thank you very much for coming in.
Yes, thank you.
You look
again.
absolutely beautiful. I know you're going
Thank
to
you.
a big event tonight.
Yes, I'm going with one of my clients to the Grammy nomination concert at Nokia Theater, so I'm very, very excited about
Have a good
that.
time. Thanks for making the
Thank
time
you.
to come in.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's always a joy.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you enjoyed this edition of Out of the Rough. If you'd like to watch this episode online, go to scvtv.com or fredarnold.com. If you have questions for me or would like to introduce a great guest like Denise, email me, fred@fredarnold.com. I hope this information helps get you out of the rough and into success. Until we speak again, make it a great day. Bye-bye.